All right, everybody, we are in the studio today with another stellar, amazing local band, Voxxy Vallejo. We have Gene Vallejo and Voxxy in here with us today, talking about some blues and some old school rock and roll. It's like a size 13 Doc Martin boot to the head. It's amazing sound. It is, Tacoma never ceases to amaze me. It's like I've lived all over, but it never ceases to amaze me, the level of talent we have here. And we have that with Voxxy Vallejo. Gene, Voxxy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, podcasters.
Yeah, we had to go over the whole what's a podcast thing. So let's talk about how Voxxy Vallejo came to be. And I know, Gene, you've been playing for a long time, and you've had several bands, and then this is your latest incarnation. Tell us about it.
Well, Voxxy Vallejo started as an online collaboration on a site called soundclick.com. And I was out of the music scene for almost 20 years, busy raising a family, and they were up and grown, and I got bored, and my guitar started crying, and my electric guitar, I never stopped playing during those 20 years. I picked up an acoustic guitar and was constantly writing and messing around on acoustic. So picked up my electric, put a home studio together, started tracking some tracks. Actually, I need to back up just a second, too. I'm originally from Vicksburg, Mississippi, and my grandparents had passed away, and they were living here in Lacey, Washington with us. My grandfather passed away, and so we flew back to Mississippi to bury him, and that's the first time they've been back in over 20 years, I think it was 25 years. And it was just blew me away going back there after 25 years, That thing about how you can never go home again was so true, man. Everything had changed, Hay fields where I used to bale hay had turned into country club golf courses. The honky-tonk / gas station / restaurant / cafe that my grandpa owned. That
Barbecue on Wednesdays.
Exactly. Was no longer there. It was the last ownership was taxidermist.
Wow.
But that, and that's where actually the first years of playing guitar, I used to sit out in front of the gas station, between people pulling up, because back in that day you still pump the gas, that type of thing. Yeah. And I'd be over there fiddling around with my acoustic guitar. Gone. All that was gone. And so I came back, a lot of emotions.
Was that like sad for you, or was that just eye-opening? How did you?
It was extremely sad, man. Because that's where your growing up years are your early teens.
Sure.
So I spent the time in Mississippi from I'm an Air Force brat, so we bounced around a little bit, but we finally settled down there when I was about 10 or 11, I think. And unfortunately, my father passed away at a young age of 39 when I was 13.
Wow.
He was a guitar player. I had not played guitar up until that point. And he passed away. What he left behind was 3 or 4 guitars. And I asked my mom, can I play one of his guitars? So picked up one of his guitars and used to go into my bedroom and start teaching myself using chord charts off of songbooks. And that's how I got over losing my father, was through music. So music's always been that warm blanket, that comforter for me. Gosh, where was it going from there?
So
Voxxy Vallejo.
Sir, I'm trying to get back to it. What inspired the original tracks that brought me and Vox together were a track called Lovin' Thing and a track called Bad Woman Blues. After coming back from burying my grandfather, I wanted to finish that part of it too. Came back anyway. 2 weeks later, my grandmother, his wife, passed away.
Wow.
Boom, fly back to Vicksburg, Mississippi again. And so anyway, I come back.
Now that was familiar from the last trip.
Yeah,
Nothing
and I already
changed.
had some ideas for some songs. I was already hearing, these things, and stories I wanted to tell people about. Because you hear a lot of crap about Mississippi, and there is a lot of bad things still going on down there. But there was a lot of cool things going on down there as well. And my people were from the Choctaw Chickasaw tribes. We were kind of intermingled, plus white, and plus all kinds of breeds of people. Mixed in, but this music started coming out of me, and it wasn't a ZZ Top sound, it wasn't a Leonard Skinner sound, it wasn't 38 Special, it wasn't that sound you'd heard before, Jerry Raspberry and all that. It was something new, and the only way I could classify it, I called it hillbilly funk, for lack of a better term.
Nice.
And I love Billy Gibbons, and I love what Dudley Taft's doing too. I like that guitar playing, it's just raw, just taking that blues to the next step. But mine was still a little bit more. It still had the Hank Williams, Johnny Cash twang to it.
A little swamp water going on there.
Yeah. So these songs started coming out, and I'd written some lyrics myself, but I just threw the raw tracks out there, Bad Woman Blues, Lovin' Thing, up on SoundClick, and shared it out with like 5 or 6 ladies. I was looking for a female vocalist, because I was, in my mind, I was hearing that Janis Joplin, that raw type of vocals. And out of the 3 or 4 that responded back, Vox responded back within 8 hours with a vocal track for Lovin' Thing. and it just blew my mind.
Voxxy, how was that? Getting an email from some, or you met on you did you see him online, or did he contact you? How did that work?
Yeah, I had been on the site for a few years, able to record myself at home over some music tracks, and I'd been through a few, other audition type things, auditioning for bands that way, or writing for bands or whatever, and like he had mentioned earlier when we were talking, most people just kind of flake a little bit on you,
Yeah.
So,
in the music business? I'm shocked. Whoa, man, no.
So I had been on the site already for a couple of years, and he just hit me up, like on a message board or whatever, a comment page or whatever. I got a few ideas, hit me up. And I thought, this guy must want to collaborate or something. And I was getting it all the time, and it, whatever. A lot of the music isn't good.
Right.
And so I went and listened to his music on his page and his diversity in his sound. Because at that time, I had been in a lot of garage bands doing hard rock, doing heavy metal, which I have a passion for too. I love getting on stage just
And she's a great
screaming and just
singer, man.
Yeah. And but I wanted something that was a little more challenging vocally, so far as melody was concerned, and that.
And
sort
where
of
are
thing.
you at this point? Where in the country are you living at this point?
When him and I met, I was in Iowa.
And you were up here. Thank God for the internet, correct?
And I had been.
I knew it'd come in handy sooner or later.
Yes.
And I had been doing my own thing for a while too, being in bands, learning to record at home and compose my own music and that sort of thing, and and had a few close encounters with almost getting there myself, and so I went and listened to his tracks, and he was all over the place, which I love. I love so much music, I come across as a rocker girl and that sort of thing, but if it makes me want to dance, yay. If it makes me want to cry, yay, So he had all this different sound going on. He had the southern thing, he had the blues thing, he had some heavy rock stuff going on, some ballad stuff, and okay, cool. And so I had written him back. He didn't say anything. The Janis Joplin thing comes up over and over again, but he didn't say anything about that. But I had been getting it already as a performer, constantly getting the Janis Joplin comparisons. And I'd never gone that route musically. So when he had made the comment, I wrote him back and said, well, are you thinking about a collaboration? Because I'm looking for something along the lines, some dirty, heavy blues, something Led Zeppelin, Janis Joplin, along those lines, which is exactly what he was looking for, and I didn't know that. So that's when he shot me up the first track, and I was hungry for something, something that sounded good, and he's amazing musician and multi-instrumentalist and songwriter, and it was good, and I heard it, and I heard the melody in my head immediately. And honestly, the first lyrics I wrote, I sent to him, and he was cool. Basically, he wasn't happy with the lyrics. I like the melody you're going with, but I'm not so much on the lyrics. I want to hear some heartbreak in there or whatever. And I was like, my ego at first was like,
who's this guy? Yeah.
And then I was like, well, no, I'm going to show him, totally rewrote it. And that's, again, it was like within 24 hours. I don't know if I was just bored or overly creative at the time or what, but it was, instantaneous.
What was really cool, though, that she was in the transition of moving from Iowa back down to Arizona. They would stop in the motels or whatever. She'd get back on Wi-Fi and still stay connected with me during that. As she was, going cross country. That was another mark for her. I'm like, right on. I can work with this person. Again, never thinking we'd ever meet face to face.
Yeah, the original
that we would
plan.
Just do this online collaboration and do the.
The original plan was we were going to write an album together, and I was going back to Phoenix, where I already had music contacts and stuff, and I was going to put a band together in Phoenix to promote the album. He was just going to be my co-writer. And then 5-6 songs into it, maybe 3-4 months later. Because we were just. What, 2,000 emails in 3 months?
We're keeping an account. Yeah, there's a lot of emails, man.
So 5 or 6 songs later, 3-4 months down the road, I was just like, man, I don't want to work with anybody else. I don't want to go find people to fit this bill.
And I didn't want to get back on stage again. I'm serious, brother. I did not want to get back in front of a live, getting that live situation.
You were content to just write,
Be in
let
the
somebody
studio,
else do it.
that Steely Dan thing, even though Steely Dan does go live, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean. They were for the
Very
first
much a
couple
studio
years,
band,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were a studio band, and I really liked that, you know, because I could sit around in my underwear all day and do my thing, drink beer.
Still does.